The Tigers have expressed interest in Ha-Seong Kim. Is he a better fit than Alex Bregman?
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Wednesday, December 10th, 2025. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome all. Happy Wednesday. Today we are going to discuss the news and notes from the second full day of winter meetings, but of Tuesday, rumors swirling, reports flying everywhere. We have a draft order set. We have injury updates and plenty more to discuss as well. Edwin Diaz to the Dodgers, Kyle Schwarber back to the Phillies. Scott Boras spoke to the media, so obviously some Tarek Skubal updates, quote unquote, and so much more. I want to start off, though, by discussing what I think is fair to say is the biggest report out of the Tigers organization on Tuesday, and that is from Evan Petzold of The Freep, along with a few other people. I think Ken Rosenthal mentioned in something he wrote that that he thought it was a good fit as well, but that the Detroit Tigers may have interest in Ha-Seong Kim. I absolutely love Ha-Seong Kim. He is, I think, so fun to watch play baseball. Had some really big moments over the last few years, especially before the injuries with the Padres. He's kind of everything the Tigers are looking for in an external addition. So it is not shocking to me that there is interest here. He doesn't strike out very much. He walks a lot. He plays elite defense, kind of all over the infield. And he, at full health, can even steal you a lot of bases too. Last year, in 2025, I'll word it that way so it's crystal clear what season I'm talking about. He came back from injury about halfway through the 2025 season, did not hit super well, but did maintain his profile. Didn't strike out. The walk numbers went down. They're usually like elite. And this year they were just, above average, but still above league average walk rate, and did not swing and miss hardly ever, did not strike out hardly ever. He also this season hit .286 against left-handed pitching, and his best statistical month of the season was in the month of September, after again missing the entire first half of the year with an injury. Now, he started the year with Tampa, and there was, when they signed him last winter, there was a belief that he was going to play in like May, and he was just going to miss like the first few weeks, maybe month of the season. Then all of a sudden, he doesn't take a major league plate appearance until like halfway through July. Now, the downfall or the weaknesses in the profile still exist. Okay, this is not he had a 649 OPS in 2025. That's not very good. The downfalls with his production came via the inability to drive the ball, and again, it'd be one thing if he had his slug was 345 this year. That's like Harold Castro-esque. Okay, he had 5 home runs. So he was swinging a noodle bat. Now, again, was going through and dealing with the injury. But when you have that and the walk rate drops, when you don't have consistent power, any decline in the other strengths you have get kind of highlighted and magnified even more, right? He's never going to be a 20-plus home run guy. Certainly not at Comerica Park either. But if he walks at a 12% clip like he was doing when he was fully healthy a couple seasons ago, then you live with it. And he's still going to be a league average to above league average hitter. But even that drop just from, the 12%, over 12% to, around 8%, even though it's still a good number, when you pair it with a 345 slug, it leads to a big dip in offensive production. So he did not drive the baseball hardly ever, and the walk rate went down a little bit, and that led to kind of just a guy that he doesn't strike out, but he pretty much just goes up there and pops out, 10% of the time, 12% of the time. So again, a 649 OPS, not very good production. If you were to sign him, the Tigers would certainly not be signing him with the hope or intention that he is going to have that level of production. They certainly would want more out of him. But again, only half a season, injury, and he got better as the year went along. 30 years old. He's a right-handed hitter as well, so fits into the lineup very, very effortlessly and easily. I think there's a reason to be optimistic that he can return to the pre-2025 hitting numbers. I don't need him to do even what he did in 2023, for instance. His 2023 stat line is pretty incredible. 750 OPS. It's not like, MVP caliber or anything. But 17 home runs and I think 38 steals is a heck of a profile when you pair it with a really high walk rate and elite defense in the field as well. So I doubt he ever puts up a season like that ever again. And if the Tigers were to sign him, I would not sell you that is, what's going to happen here. But if he can even hover around a 700 OPS, right? If he has a pick a number, 705 OPS, hits 12 homers, steals 20 bases, and plays elite defense all over the field, doesn't strike out, draws walks, that's a valuable ball player. He's not an MVP candidate. He's probably not even an all-star, but it's still a valuable asset to have in the lineup. As I've mentioned a few times already, he plays all over the infield as a right-handed hitter. Now, this is where, it kind of gets interesting. In a perfect world, I would play him at shortstop for the Detroit Tigers. He's played there most of his career. Then you have Keith or a free agent play third. And then we know what the right side of the infield looks like, at least in 2026 with Glaber and Torkelson. He would be a massive, massive upgrade at shortstop. You look at what the level of production the Tigers have received from shortstop over the last 2, 3, 5, 10 years. But even not being overly dramatic, just looking at this era, you look at, what the Tigers have gotten out of shortstop in the Javi era. I think it would be a massive upgrade. Or you look at what they're projected to produce at shortstop. If you like, predictive stats, it's not great. So I think he'd be a big upgrade over what they're planning to trot out at shortstop every day. That being said, even if they were to bring him in and play him all over the field and not have him be strictly the shortstop, and he can play, a lot of third base at a plus level, he can play shortstop at a plus level. I mean, heck, if it calls for it, he can play second base at a plus level. He's done that plenty in his career as well. He still will be very valuable and provide what the Tigers are looking for in the field and in the box. Good RISP numbers as well. He's had good RISP numbers most seasons. A couple of exceptions to that, obviously, but because he doesn't strike out very much and puts the ball in play, that's kind of what you want. out of a clutch hitter. So salary projections have him making around $45 million. Like total contract, obviously not a year. I mean, he's 30 years old. If they gave him 45 mil for what, 4 years? Sure. That's fine by me. Now, the big debate is, would you rather do that or spend big money on Bregman? We'll talk about that a little bit, along with all the other news and notes from Tuesday right after this. First, though, going to talk to you all about our friends over at FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. It's one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, momentum swing, and every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment and bet live spreads, money lines that adjust instantly, player props that update as a guy heats up, and so much more. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate you all so much for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will, of course, be back tomorrow as we start to put a bow already on the end of winter meetings. Most people are heading out on Thursday, but we got Rule 5 draft to go over, who the Tigers may take, who they will lose, etc. Still plenty more of action to come the rest of the week. So thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You can also check out the Everydayer Club. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad free. You can, again, Locked On Tigers. You can become a part of the Everydayer Club with no interruptions, members only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. So go to LockedOnPodcastsNetwork.com/Everydayer Club and find your team today. Discussing some rumors, news and notes, reports, etc. from winter meetings in regards to the Detroit Tigers. Obviously, we've already talked about Ha-Seong Kim and the potential for the Tigers expressed interest in him last year as well. So it's really not surprising to me that they would do so again. I think the Tigers would like to give him less than 45 mil coming off of an injury and the worst offensive season he's had in quite some time. But I think they like him, and I think that makes total sense. So you can go check out Evan Petzold of the Freeps piece, where he kind of highlights Bregman, Ha-Seong Kim, etc. The big question is, is it being cheap to go after Kim rather than Bregman, or should they go after Kim instead of Bregman for much less money, whatever. I would love if they signed Bregman. I really would. He's a good defender. He's a good hitter. He doesn't strike out. He draws walks, all the things that we've talked about. He would make the lineup better instantly. I don't think it's happening. So ultimately it takes two to tango. And if that's not going to happen, there's been some comments made. I know Cody Stavenhagen of The Athletic made some comments recently about the Tigers maybe not being a potential suitor, I guess I'll say, for Bregman. You can go check out all the Cody stuff. He's great. I'm like not holding my breath for that anymore. And I'm not as tunnel visioned with it as maybe me or other people have been in the past with like the Bregman sweepstakes. Like I'm not of the belief that they need to get him or else the offseason is just a complete bust and it's over. And, the Tigers, it's impossible for them to be good without Bregman on their team next year. Like, I want them to get their guy because he is their guy, not because he is cheaper. Does that make sense? Like, there's just nuance with that conversation. It's not as, at least in my head, as black and white as like, oh, they're being cheap by not getting, player X because player Y is, going to cost them less money. I don't know. We'll see what happens. These are all just reports. These are all just, rumors and theories and whatever. We'll see what happens. But I love Ha-Seong Kim. I think he would be a good addition to the team. Do I think he would be like a world breaker or that the lineup would be significantly better with him in it? No. But I do think that there is a role for him on this team, and he certainly shores up the infield a little bit more than how it looks right now. That being said, if there's a big money person that, go make a wave, go spend money. Don't force yourself to get a cheaper option just because it's cheaper. I guess that's my biggest thing. Some other updates from Tuesday. Sounds like Riley Greene will be joining Team Puerto Rico. I don't think that's official yet, but Greene has expressed interest in playing for them. That would be really cool. It's really cool to see the Tigers roster in a healthy and good enough position where there will be Tigers players kind of all over the WBC. And it's not just going to be, like back many, many years ago, it was just kind of like Miguel Cabrera. And then like that, I guess like Verlander could have if he wanted to, but the WBC wasn't as big back then. It just would be really cool to see the Tigers represented all over the world in the biggest international baseball tournament there is. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if he ends up starting or if he's just like on the team or, what happens with that. But it sounds like that's where Riley wants to play for the WBC. So we'll keep an eye on that. But a really cool update in that regard. Gabe Ribas to Colorado. This is not nothing. Ribas has been in charge of the Tigers pitching development at the minor league level for a while now. I want to say 4 or even 5 years. And now we'll try to take on what some call the impossible task of getting pitching development in Colorado. So we'll see. Looks like he's getting a little bit of a bigger role over there within the front office. So good for him. But it's not nothing, man. Like the Tigers, I know the last couple of years, there maybe has been less like big name, young prospects come through outside of obviously Jackson Jobe. But you look at the level of production they've gotten from, Sawyer Gibson Long and Cater Montero and like those kind of guys that have been able to spot start and do pretty well. Troy Melton wasn't a highly regarded prospect until, the last year or so. Like there are, again, it's not nothing. It's not nothing. So wishing him the best, and hopefully the Tigers are able to continue and accomplish what they want to accomplish at the minor league level with the pitching staff without Gabe Ribas. But he's been a big part of what this front office has been trying to do over the last, like I said, 3, 4, 5 years now. So best of luck. The Major League Draft Lottery officially happened on Tuesday afternoon. The Detroit Tigers, obviously not a part of said draft lottery, as playoff teams are not lottery eligible. However, a lot of AL Central representation. A lot of AL Central representation. The number 1 overall pick will be the Chicago White Sox. Number 2, the Tampa Bay Rays. Number 3, the Minnesota Twins. 4 is the Giants. 5 is the Pirates. And then outside of the top 5, in order, you have Royals, Orioles, A's, Braves, Rockies, Nationals, Angels, Cardinals, Marlins. And then 15 Diamondbacks, 16 Rangers, 17 Astros. And then the playoff teams begin there. The Guardians will pick 19th. The Tigers will pick 22nd in the 2026 MLB Draft. We also mentioned yesterday that they will have a competitive balance round B pick as well, which will help out a little bit, get some more, throw some more darts at the board in that regard. But 2 AL Central teams in the top 3 and 3 AL Central teams in the top 6 as the Orioles take a little bit of, well, I was going to say they take a step back. Not really. It's kind of just the lottery, catapulting them up a little bit. They came into the draft lottery at 13 and ended at 6. And then that's also, we saw, what was it, last year or 2 years ago when Cleveland, had the whatever second worst odds to get the number 1 overall pick and then got it. So the AL Central continues to have a lot of lottery luck, if you will. We saw the Tigers move up a couple of years ago, one of the first years of the lottery as well. But the White Sox are terrible. I don't think anyone has a problem with them getting the number 1 pick. The Twins are in full sell mode and are terrible. Don't have an issue with them. If anything, they move from 2 to 3. So if anything, they get kind of screwed over a little bit. Some other interesting notes outside of our division: the Pirates fall from 3 to 5. As they continue to put a competitive, I would hope, put a competitive team together while they still aren't paying Paul Skeens. We'll see. We'll see. But they move down a couple of spots. And then the Braves, just a really weird last few years. They fall from 6 to 9. So unfortunately, they do fall, but still a top 10 pick for a Braves roster that is like all locked up long-term and all has, people thought they were just going to be the next dynasty of baseball. And they've had a lot of injury stuff the last couple of years. Don't get me wrong, but it's certainly been a disappointing last couple of seasons for them. So we'll see maybe if this can kickstart them back in the direction they want to go. Scott Boras spoke to the media on Tuesday, unfortunately. Let's talk about that. First, though, got to talk to you about our friends over at Game Time. The World Cup is back to North America for the first time since 1994 with 48 teams for the first time ever. It is going to be massive, but let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment you get the app. So, check out Game Time. Check out the World Cup, and it makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets, every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, Scott Boras spoke to the media on Tuesday, had a lot of puns in regards to Tarek Skubal that make me want to, I don't even know, stab my eye with a fork. I'm already so tired of it. And we're probably only going to get more and more. He said that Skubal was a saber-proof tiger because, analytics love him. So he's a saber-proof tiger. Yeah. Anyway, the only even remotely noteworthy report to come out of his nonsense is, I think the first person I saw report it was McCoskey of the Detroit News. Basically said that Skubal has told him to just listen to anything the Tigers have to say, and that's his only instruction, and there is no deadline on when he needs to have an extension done or would need to have an extension done. There isn't you need to give me a real offer by this date or else I'm just not going to talk to you again till next offseason. It's December 10th. There's plenty of time for him to still do that, and I'm sure there will be at some point. But this early in the offseason, it does not sound like there is one yet, which I don't know. If you're looking for anything to grab, any amount of hope to grab onto, you can grab onto that at least. There's also a report going around, or a rumor, I should say, going around that the Dodgers are making a push for Tarek Skubal in a trade, that is. I mean, maybe. Like, I don't really take this seriously, to be honest with you. I got tagged in this like video this guy made where he said that, you know, it's gaining momentum or whatever, like a million times. And I just like, I don't care. If more reports come out and a deal is like close, then we'll obviously start listening more and paying more attention to it. But for the time being, this is not something I'm even remotely like entertaining as like legitimate as of today. There's going to be rumors all week, and that's not like saying that, you know, this person's like source is bad or whoever is reporting it is not good at their job or anything. I just think everybody's going to hear everything all off season, and especially this week when they're all in one place. Very much in a I'll believe it when I see it mode. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, and we'll obviously talk about it all on this show. I do not believe the Dodgers are like actually super close and on the verge. You know, we're on the 1 yard line, all the like hyperboles that people say. I don't think that that's where the Dodgers stand with the Tigers and a Tarek Skubal trade. I don't think it's as close as I don't believe that. So maybe down the road they get closer. Maybe this is like step one of, you know, 50 steps toward a move happening, but I don't hold any weight in the report right now that there's like momentum on that front. Injury report from the Tigers. To be honest with you, whole lot of nothing, which is like good. There's only 5 people on it. Glaber, it sounds like, will be back to full strength. Bo Brisky going through his offseason stuff. Jackson Jobe scheduled to initiate a return-to-play throwing program next week. Jake Miller, a couple of hip injuries, rehab daily, and then Reese Olson, a return-to-play throwing program this week should begin. So best case scenario is you're going into opening day with just Jackson Jobe on there, maybe Jobe and Miller, but that would be best case scenario. So hopefully that can be our reality. News from around the league: Edwin Diaz to the Dodgers. I mean, the Mets, man, that's a kick to the guts. I mean, they're going to roll in with Devin Williams after an ERA over 4.5, whatever it was this year. That is a lot of money. It's a new contract record for a reliever. And to be honest, like, I mean, the rich get richer, right? Like the Dodgers' only weak spot throughout the course of 162 was the back end of their bullpen. And now they get arguably the best one in baseball. So here we are. I think that, you know, stuff like this is probably going to continue to have an effect on the new CBA and, you know, the likelihood of the excuse me, the likelihood of a lockout in or strike, whatever it ends up being in 2027. So let's enjoy 2026. The other big news: Kyle Schwarber back to the Phils. Yeah, I mean, it's a Nebraska team. It's not surprising. They're going to run it back, and that core is getting older, but they're still really good. And they are going to invest all their money in the good players they have and make another run at it. Dombrowski don't care. And he wins. I don't say that, you know, as like a negative. The one interesting report to come out of the Schwarber thing is the Reds offered Schwarber a deal. And now it sounds like the Reds may be completely done for the entire offseason. You can go listen to Jeff Carr of Locked On Reds, one of the best shows that our glorious network has to offer. Just really interesting. Really interesting that they were just like all in on Schwarber and then are just like, we're probably good then. It's not just our owner, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow, continuing our winter meetings and off-season discussions. Appreciate you all so much. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all then, baby. Go Tigers.